All right, this is a massive honor for me. Been watching these guys for 2+ decades. Arguably the greatest tag team in the history of professional wrestling. And what's so unique about them, incredibly popular, incredibly successful as a tag team, still to this day, but also incredibly popular, incredibly successful as single stars. Very few of the great tag teams can claim that. Actually, you can make a strong case that they're one of the only ones. And so it's a very, very unique thing, and it's a massive honor to have here in our studio today the multiple-time WWF/WWE champions, WCW champions under the WWE umbrella, but still it counts. No one's ever been able to say WWF champs, WCW champs, ROH Ring of Honor champs, and of course TNA champs as well had their run in AEW. They have been all over the world and back again. They are now a part of the TNA Total Nonstop Action Wrestling roster, having a huge show July 20th right here in New York, on the island, Long Island to be exact, at the UBS Arena. It's so great to have them back together as a team. They've been in TNA doing their thing for the past year and another go around with the company, and they are killing it right now. Please let us say hello and a big, big welcome to two of the greatest of all time, Matt and Jeff Hardy. What a great pleasure this is. Wow. This is unbelievable. Hello, sir.
Hello, Ariel.
How are you?
Great to see you.
Great honor. Great honor. Jeff, thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Please
Very good to see you again.
have a seat. Wow. It's great to have you guys in my home here. Thank you so much.
No, thanks for inviting us, man. Thanks for having us.
You guys doing well? Everything? I saw your flight today. You got in the hotel. They didn't have your room ready. You're on the elliptical.
Yeah.
Did you get some rest?
No.
No. Okay.
Well, yesterday was my oldest son's birthday too. He just turned 10, so we had a big evening planned for him. We got back about 10 p.m. and then I had to wash some clothes and pack real quick, and then our flight was at 6. So
Oh dear.
so it was a short night of sleep, but we'll be all right.
How far do you guys live from each other?
2 football fields, man.
That's
Yeah.
it. Wow.
We're on the same property. The Hardy compound is a very, very real thing.
Wow.
The Hardy compound is, about almost 100 acres, 90 plus acres. And our dad had the land. His parents had the land before that. And then, he turned it over, and we got all different pieces of the property, and we built our houses there and are raising our family. So it's pretty cool.
Is your lawn as cool as Jeff's?
No.
Okay. Did you come over and do his lawn? Or
No, I do not. No.
I've seen your lawn, man.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Thank you, man.
I mean, does anyone on the planet do this, or is this just
I
something
don't think
that you?
so. I was out there. I had one day at home. I was putting out 100 bales of straw yesterday in the crazy heat, and oh my gosh, I didn't get finished, but I got a lot done, man. But yeah, it's I take pride in it.
So did this just come out from the top of your mind? Like, I want to make cool art on grass, landscape art? Like, where did you come up with that?
And I was a landscaper before we made it in pro wrestling, and I've always enjoyed weed eating designs, in grass. But now my motocross track, the main part of my front yard, my motocross track is about a 5-acre track, and this became my front yard. So I'm pretty sure it might be the coolest front yard on planet Earth.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's so wild. I mean, I remember when he first started doing this and cutting these designs into his lawn. He would take the Vanguard 1 and raise them up and then shoot down and see how it looks like. Oh, I need to fix this. I need to do this. I need to critique this. That's how he would judge it. It was just wild.
It's almost as great as your face paint.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I take pride in it.
Guys, you're here for TNA. You've got a huge show coming up on July 20th, UBS Arena. And we're approaching actually a year since you guys have been back as a team in TNA. You had great runs with them in the past. I'm just curious off the bat, because it feels like TNA is in a different period in their history, right? They had their ups, their downs. Now it feels like they're making this big comeback. The partnership with WWE seems to be very fruitful for them. Mm-hmm. Can you describe the feeling right now in TNA today, back when you were, as opposed to back when you were with the older guys, right? Like the Hogans of the world, the Bischoffs of the world.
Sure.
It feels like a totally different time.
Yeah, totally different. I mean, it's they've been through a few different transformations, obviously. But at that time they got some steam, but I think they didn't play the cards like they should have played the cards. Right now, we have a great roster who is working for the greater good. Everyone is very selfless. Everyone wants TNA to grow, and it has been. We have a new boss right now that just came in, Carlos Silva, and he's been doing a great job. He's super passionate, super motivated. Not a wrestling guy per se, but he is learning on the fly, and he is super motivated to make TNA as big as it can possibly be. And we're both happy. I think I think what started kind of this resurgence in TNA was Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth coming and becoming the champion. I think that was a good boost for them.
Why do you feel that way? Why was that a turning point?
I just think Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, he'd been on TV for 20 years, WWE, established star. A lot of people were surprised. They thought he'd probably be a lifer, at WWE. And then he came in, and he is a very talented guy. And I think he brought a lot of star power, a lot of name power, and people started taking TNA a little more serious. And then you have Joe Hendry, who became viral, and I think you just recently visited with him. Yeah, he's the best. Joe Hendry rules. And he became a viral sensation, so that's helped with everything. And then I showed up out of the blue. Nobody knew. He didn't even know. I'd kayfabed everybody.
You didn't tell your bro?
I had no idea, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just old school business, I guess. I
like that.
I definitely would have told him. But then, I came, and then Jeff ended up following me. And when he showed up that night in Chicago, we were just talking about that crowd. That night, they were amazing. They were red hot, but it was probably 1,700 people, sold out, standing room only. They sold extra tickets so people could stand. And just now we're going to be doing UBS. And we've done shows this year with, 5,000 people, 4,000 people. We've had some great houses already this year. So I think us being back obviously has helped out as well. And then to top everything off, the NXT TNA partnership has been super beneficial. You know what I mean? Especially crossing. And I think the thing with Trick being the champion is a pretty unique story. And I kind of dig that they're doing that.
When you came over, I know your contract with AEW expires, then you come and show up the next day.
Yeah.
Did you tell him you were showing up?
Yeah, he
knew that?
He kind of knew, but it was weird when I first.
Great question.
It did run through my mind when my wife said, "Hey, did you know Matt was going back to TNA?" I said, "No, I had no idea." And then I watched the footage. I was like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." And I sent him a text. I'm like, "Oh man, that was really cool, man. How'd it feel?" And a part of me, man, should I just maybe do a solo thing and stay in AEW for another year and see what happens? Or should I go back to TNA? And I was like, why am I even considering not doing this? I had so many great moments and memories in TNA. My last run was great there. 2012 was one of the greatest years of my wrestling career, in my opinion. And so I think everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. And especially now with this working relationship with WWE, it feels like we're exactly where we're supposed to be and doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing by helping TNA.
It's so funny when you talk about did I tell him if I was going or not. So my podcast host John Alba, who said please say hello. He actually he was almost upset that I didn't tell him. He said, "Why didn't you tell me?" I said, "I didn't tell anybody." I mean, the only person that knew was my wife. Like, my brother didn't even know. I just kind of kept everything quiet. That's how you keep things from getting out.
So you guys are a little bit old school in that regard. I'm not saying you're 70s or 80s stars, but now everything is out, right?
I think
so. You like it better when some things are left behind the curtain?
Oh, my God, yes. Okay. I mean, just like our WrestleMania 33 return. I mean, only a handful of people in WWE really knew about that. Like, that was really kept tight, and they really tried to keep it on the DL. We dealt with Triple H, Vince a couple times, but mainly Triple H, and he was even cool with us going to Ring of Honor and winning those tag titles and making like a red herring, that maybe we're not going to show up, and then we had that insane weekend, where on Friday night, a lot of people forget this, we wrestled Penta in Phoenix in the main event of the WrestleCon show, and then Saturday night we wrestled the Bucks and Ladder Wars in a 30-minute match, and they were calling me, the office was calling me that day over and over, like, please control your brother, don't let him take any dumb bumps. Tomorrow's WrestleMania. Vince said, it's the showcase of the Immortals. Yes. Nobody cares about WrestleMania.
Weren't you signing 5 hours that day as well?
Yes. He said it's the showcase of the Immortals. No one cares about Ring of Honor. He says tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the day. It's so funny. But yeah, I know even after we finished that, I remember Jeff told me, he said, man, I'm glad we can just do media because I'm so sick of lying. Like saying, we're not doing this or we're staying with Ring of Honor or whatever else.
So what's interesting to me is this partnership with NXT has kind of brought you guys back a little bit to WWE. You had a couple of matches. You actually one here in New York, right, at the theater just a few months ago. How does that feel for you? Because you're flying the flag. You seem to be happy for TNA, but you're also dipping. I've heard you in interviews say at some point down the line, we'd like to end in a WWE ring. It would seem only fitting. So here you are kind of working, flirting. It's unique. WWE usually historically doesn't do this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Is it at all awkward for you guys at times, or is it totally comfortable?
You want to start?
It was great. We walked into NXT for the first time ever, and man, they had these shirts for us there, and I was like, what? They've got some Hardy Boyz shirts for this little NXT stay, and just the warmth and acceptance of everybody there in the locker room and the crowd was just, oh man, it felt so good to be back home where it all started.
It was great. We went to Cincinnati. We did our first show there, and then we did it the next week in Orlando, and then we obviously came here to New York. It was great. They took such great care of us, and it was fun. Even we got to chat with Shawn Michaels. Like when we were first there, we really didn't even talk about wrestling. We were talking about kids and growing up because both of our kids are getting older, and his kids have aged out and they've got older and like left and whatnot. And he said, I'm going to tell you guys something. Like I remember being the guy who'd been around for a long time, and while I was wrestling later, there's a lot of the young guys said, "Oh my God, like you were my guy coming up. Like I loved you so much. You inspired me to get into wrestling." He said, "Well, now you're those guys."
Yeah.
He said, "So I've told everyone here if they want to take a picture with you, they got to wait till the end of the night." He said, "I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore." Which was great. But it was a blast there. For Axiom, super talented guys, no quarter catch crew, super talented guys. Loved all those guys.
How do you feel being in that role now, Jeff? You're 47, you're 50, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry for saying it, but it's wild because you look like 34. Like you guys have not aged one bit. But being those legends, the older guys, I'm sure a lot of people come up to you. You've had very public highs and some down moments as well. Are you comfortable being that locker room leader type?
Sure, yeah, and I know that we were a part of it, like some kind of movement back when we had that makeover with Michael Hayes, and we started wearing the kickwear pants, hair in the face, tight shirts, and something kind of happened then. And that first ever tag team ladder match really changed our paths. That put us on a rocket, man, to the moon and beyond. And so just now hearing everybody, we hear this at least once every day, if not 10 times. Man, you guys were my childhood, man. We hear that all the time, and broke so many couches because of you two. But it's just very humbling still to me. I'm just so grateful for the gift of life I am and have, and that we're still able to be as active as we are.
It's funny. I have two boys. They're really big into soccer. One of my boys' favorite players is a guy named Brennan Johnson. He's a star for Tottenham in London. And he had a really tough period. He had a really tough stretch at the beginning of the year. And then he went on this streak of like scoring like 5-6 straight games, right? And then, so he celebrates a big goal at one point, and he goes like this afterwards. And I become a little friendly with him on social media. And I was like, by the way, why did you do that? And he said, the Hardy Boyz were my favorite. This guy is like 25-year-old London kid, and he said, I wanted to be the Hardy Boyz. I'm like, wow, it's like the impact that wrestling and that you guys had on people from all different walks of life. I'm sure you hear it all the time, right? And people emulating you and trying to be like you. I'm sure you probably got some crazy stories too of people doing some crazy shit back in the day.
We definitely do. But one thing you said, one thing that I think is super flattering to us, I mean, it's just like all cultures, it's so cool that we have inspired so many people. I mean, we have people from all walks of life, white, black, Hispanic, they're just, oh my God, like you were my guys and you were my childhood. We did this. And, I cut up my mom's pantyhose like this so I could do my brother's things. And I jumped off and I did a leg drop on the couch and I broke it. I got in so much trouble. But thank you. You gave us a great childhood. And it's cool now because, especially if we do a lot of cons and we do pretty well at those things, it's cool because we'll meet people in their mid-30s. And they'll go, I grew up watching you guys. Like, you were my favorite. I was a young kid, and I just discovered wrestling, and you were my favorite. The Attitude Era, the Hardy Boyz, and we're throwing up the guns, or we're doing the guns in V1, whatever it is. And now my kid is a fan, too, and he's gone back, and he's watched TLC, too, and the tag team ladder match. And now they're, like, both enamored and super excited to meet us. It's wild, but it's so cool. I mean, we've been doing this for 33 years now. October 15th will mark 34 years.
Wow.
We've been wrestling.
So 34 years. What is that, if my math is correct? 91? 92. Yes. Okay. October. Yep. And there's actually a lot of anniversaries around the time that we're speaking now, and I want to get to those in a moment. Can I just ask you, Jeff, why do you think you connected with people so much, and especially like the kids? Why do you think that people still to this day speak? I was talking to like one of the coworkers out there who's not a big wrestling fan anymore, and I'm like, the Hardy Boyz are coming. He's like, the Hardy Boyz? I love those guys. Everyone at some point has a Hardy Boyz connection. Why do you think you connected with people this well?
Looking back at it all now, it's definitely like the authenticity part of it, like and who I am out there in the ring and who I am backstage. I mean, it's even when I think about legacy and me, like I think I want to go down as the most authentic guy to ever do it, because pretty much what you see out there is what you see at a restaurant or whatever. There's not much of a difference, and I think just that whole thing of not being afraid to be yourself and not caring what other people think about how you look or what you do or what you say. I think that really like touched a lot of people and made a hell of a connection for me in the pro wrestling world.
I personally think that part of the reason why people are so drawn to you guys is that you're not larger than life in terms of like gigantic muscles. You don't.
We seem attainable.
You seem, and you've also allowed us to get into your lives in terms of the highs and lows, so everything feels so relatable because we all have highs and lows, right? And so we've been on this emotional journey with you guys from the early days to the Attitude Era to leaving WWE to like, you know what I mean? And so that creates this bond where I think people want to like manifest success for both of you, want to will you guys to the top. And I think you've allowed us to come on that journey with you, which has made the bond even stronger.
Yeah, I agree.
sure.
And I also think we hit just at the right time. You know, we started on WWE TV in 1998, full time under contract, obviously. We'd done stuff doing extra work and enhancement work before that. But whenever we were doing that, and then we hit it real big, No Mercy 1999, and the tag team ladder match with Edge and Christian, and that really took us from being just wrestlers to like superstars. I mean, everything changed on that day, especially the reactions we would get night in and night out, wherever we were wrestling at. And I think people learned their story because they were starting to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit at that time, right? You know, they're like, well, these are two guys who were born in this podunk town, Cameron, North Carolina, and they had no ends in wrestling. Their mom died when they were young. They were poor. Their dad raised them, and these guys like probably shouldn't have made it, but they did make it because they had these dreams and aspirations. And even our whole story about taking a trampoline and, you know, putting corners up and putting cable in the water hose to run around and make like a makeshift ring were the whole reason they said like don't try this at home, because they showed our home videos and you know people started doing that automatically. But I just think when you sit there like, you know what, if I knew those guys, I think we'd be friends because we're similar. We both had struggles. I think their story of just being so gritty and trying to make it is kind of how I feel in life too. And we're also a smaller size where we seem attainable. We're not, you know, the 6'8", 370-pound monsters that wrestling had for so long. Like we weren't that. We were the complete opposite. And especially when we did the makeover with Michael Hayes and we picked out the kickwear pants and the tight shirts, they're like, oh, and they're pretty cool fashion-wise too. Like, and especially Jeff. Jeff would come out with his hair in pigtails, and whatever he did, and he was just comfortable and confident in whatever it was. And people are absolutely attracted to that.
When
I refer to Cameron as an antique town.
An antique town.
An antique town.
I like that.
My favorite place on planet Earth. Yeah.
When you mentioned the tag team tables match, that's January of 2000 Royal Rumble, right? Against the Dudleys?
The tag team tables, yes.
That's here in New York at Madison Square Garden. Your famous swanton, like over the entrance there.
Yep. Yeah.
What do you remember about that day? Like, could you feel that something special was about to happen, or is it only something in the aftermath where you're like, holy crap, that was a turning point?
Yeah, we had already had the tag team ladder match, and we knew something was going on after that match. Throughout that whole structure of that match, I was like, oh my God, this is what we were meant to do.
The tag team ladder match is what allowed us to do that.
Yes, and being fans of the original ECW and naturally knowing who the Dudley Boys were, and oh my God, Sabu's the first guy, I think, to ever break a table, and he was just breaking it out of like frustration after a match or something. It was just the coolest thing we'd ever seen. And now here we got, these guys are coming to WWE, and we're about to have a tables match with them. So it was our time to step it up and use the tables just like we used the ladders. And then later on, Edge and Christian come in with the chairs, and it just all worked out so beautifully.
What a time. And I know that you guys both wrote about Sabu after his passing and what he meant to you. I know you talked about him on your podcast with John, and you wrote about him on social media as well. We found a clip from 1998 of you guys against Sabu and RVD. Do you remember this match?
Mm-hmm.
It was for like a smaller promotion, right?
Yes.
I think we have the footage here because I wanted to show it to you guys. Because what's unique about it is you're in WWE at the time,
right?
And they're in ECW at the time. So how did this come together?
Well, we were still allowed to do indies because we were on developmental deals at that time. That's before we'd started full time on TV. And what happened is we were going to the show and we were supposed to be facing another local North Carolina team in a big match.
Yeah, here it is. Oh, it's about to play. Yes. Please continue though. This is great.
And I think it was going to be Sabu or RVD versus Sandman or someone else, and their flight was canceled or it was a no-show. But both Sabu and RVD were both there. So the promoter said, hey, I'd really like you guys to wrestle these guys. Are you cool with doing that? We're like, of course, yeah. We'd love the opportunity to wrestle those guys. You know, because we hadn't built a name for ourselves yet. And they said, okay, let's go out and let's do this and let's go nuts. And we'd never met Sabu.
Oh, wow.
So that was an experience. We had no idea how he was going to be. If he was going to be this legit maniac or he was going to be a crazy person. And Jeff's got a great story about when they were fighting around the
I think this was at like ECU University, right?
It was in Greenville. It was in Greenville,
in that area.
Yeah, it was right by ECU.
Yeah, we were fighting out through the crowd and people were going crazy and the ceiling was super low. You couldn't really jump off the top rope as far as get a bunch of height. But we got in there, this broken glass, and I'm going, oh my God, I'm out here with Sabu, and he's probably going to cut me up or something. But he said, let's get out of here, brother. Let's get out of here, brother. And I was like, oh, that was the coolest thing ever.
What was he like towards you guys backstage?
At first, he was kind of had his protection up, I think.
Yeah.
And then, like, once we talked to him and he got a little more comfortable, he was okay. But then he was very nice and he was very funny. Like, I was very surprised at his sense of comedy. You know, he cracked some jokes and he was super cool. We were shocked by that. And one thing I think we have almost tried to model ourselves almost how they treated us in that match. So we weren't anybody. And we have guys that will wrestle on an independent show here and there if we're ever doing it that, you know, haven't made a name or whatever else. And then it's so funny. They're always like, oh my God, you're the best team. And they're like bowing down, like, thank you for working with us. And we want to try and like give them stuff and like make them whatever else. Like Sabu and RVD, they could have went out and they could have just murdered us in a couple minutes, but we went out and had a 12, 13-minute match or whatever it was. And we fought all over the building and it was competitive and they were fine with it and they didn't care and whatever. It was a show in the middle of North Carolina, so it wasn't a big deal. But they took care of us. They were like trying to help us out. They were trying to give us a rub. And that's something we've always done since that moment.
And we owe them our poetry in motion is from them.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we
100%.
From watching them for sure. Yeah.
Incredible. Wow.
And it's funny, you know, people go, oh, that's so Hardy's poetry in motion. I mean, but they started doing it first.
Yeah,
and we just said, oh, we should do that now that we're at WWE. And we almost like, it almost became ours, but you know, they're the people who did it first.
Do they know that or did they know that? Does RVD know that?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
I think they both do.
You know, you talk about like working well with others. I believe so. Your WWF debut was against the Smoking Guns, right? As developmental, like before you really were the Hardys.
I think that's the first time we had a tag match. As brother team.
You were against Razor Ramon as a for lack of a better word, a jobber. Am I allowed to say that?
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
A 16-year-old job.
A 16-year-old. I think they said you were 18, but
they did.
Yeah. How nervous were you? You're going up against Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, who at that point is a legend.
I was terrified.
What did Stallion tell you to do?
I was terrified. Stallion said, "Hey, brother, just put your birthday back a few more years, man. You need to be 18."
He said, "Move your birthday back 2 years, brother."
Yeah. And I was so nervous, man. And going out there, I think I had to go out there first because Matt was on the live Monday Night Raw that night.
I was on live with Nick,
and I was so nervous. I really didn't know what was going on. That ring was so hard, and I was 16. And but yeah, it was just what an awful experience. But not really. After it was over, you know, the next night I wrestled X-Pac, the 1-2-3 Kid, and that kind of refilled my soul to want to remain in the pro wrestling world. But yeah, after that match with Ramon, man, I was like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this.
Really?
You know, yeah.
Why was it? Why was that?
It was just rough. He was real rough and out there, and I was going, oh my God, and that ring was so hard.
He was also the backstory. Jeff was called Keith Davis in the match, and he was wrestling one of Stallion's guys named Keith Davis, and he was one of those guys that was a weekend warrior, wasn't in great shape, whatever else. He just did Stallion stuff on the weekends, right? And at the very 10, 15 minutes before the match was going to happen, he came and said, I can't do that. I can't take that Racer's Edge. I got a bad neck. It's going to hurt my neck. I can't take it. I can't do it. So then Sam's like, oh, we'll get somebody else. Get this brother right here. He can take any bump. He's like a rubber man. And then then Scott Hall's talking to him, and he's like aggravated. He's like, yeah, I'll just do this and kick this. Just listen to me. And he went out there and he kind of took out his frustration on Jeff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And there was a point where he drove him into the post and his knee hit the post, and he felt real bad for that. And then they came back, and remember how apologetic he was?
Oh, for sure. And that was,
the whole clique was there, and we were talking to him, and I remember, I don't know who said it specifically.
It was when I got my nickname. Hey, this guy, you look like ice, Vanilla Ice.
Oh, his hair was cut like Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, I had me a little nickname with the clique then, so I was good to go.
And Kevin Nash said, bump, 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 bump,
yeah.
bump, 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 bump.
I cannot imagine being teenagers around those dudes in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, it was talk about larger than life, right?
For sure.
Intimidating?
Yeah, and they had so much power, right?
Yeah.
At the time. But later on, as time went on, they'd always go like, "Hey, stick them with the Hardy guys. Those Hardy guys will make them look good." Hey, the Hardy guys, they would like push first. They'd be advocates for us to work against other guys.
Really?
I always remember walking in. They were doing up the fake Undertaker. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
It was just so surreal, like seeing the paint on the tattoos, and then seeing Shawn Michaels, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, like in person. Man, it was just it was so surreal.
Were you guys backstage for the curtain call?
No.
You were not there.
Yeah, no, we weren't.
Because it was sporadic, right?
Yeah, it was sporadic. It was probably we would probably go every 2 or 3 months.
Okay. When did you feel like, okay, they really believe in us? This is it.
Well, there was a time, and do you remember the thing with Jake the Snake in '97?
Oh, this is great.
So Jake the Snake, I don't think I've ever shared this anywhere.
Please share.
So Jake the Snake was having a tryout doing creative, I think. So he was in all the meetings, right?
Oh, wow.
So he'd done the meetings. He came out and said, "Hey, you guys know what you're doing tonight?" And I was like, "Oh, no, we haven't heard." And he said, "Well, you're doing this, you're doing that." He said, "Just want to tell you, they're planning on doing something with you guys. Just keep doing what you're doing. They're going to sign you. They're going to sign you." We're like, "What? Is that for real?" And like, we'd been doing it for almost 4 years at that point. We were probably a little frustrated to a degree. But he said, "Yeah, they're going to sign you." And they did just a few months later. So he was being accurate about
That probably gave you a little bit of a boost, right?
It did give us motivation. It did keep going, keep your chin up, keep moving forward.
Because you guys are Southern boys, did you ever talk to WCW at the time?
We did. I remember being at a show in Charlotte. We were trying to get a VHS tape to somebody backstage.
Oh, I gave a bunch of VHS.
And I think you got one, but yeah, we never really got in, man.
We
Surprising.
We had one thing where. Do you remember the amateur challenge that they had where they asked for people to send in videos of cutting promos? I was on there as High Voltage, my indie character.
Wow.
And the tag team, Chris Canyon verified this to me later on. They ended up saying, "Hey, there's one kid that's like sent some pretty cool wrestling or whatever. He's a young guy. His name's High Voltage. I think that'd be a great name for this tag team. Just take his name. I'm sure it's not copyrighted." And that happened. I remember that was heartbreaking when he came out.
Was, yeah.
I ended up changing my name from High Voltage to Surge.
Wow. But I'm surprised that like even power plant, tryout, nothing, because you're so close to Atlanta. Usually guys who are in your region get a look, but
yeah, no, we never did. I think once we started doing WWE, WWF at the time, I think
system.
I think we kind of wanted to go there, and we felt like there was potential to do things because they did like us a lot. And I think if it wouldn't have been there, it would have probably been ECW because
we did get a late night call one night from the Sandman and Bill Alfonso.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
What is that?
They were I did this character called Willow. It was like my evil character, and they had seen a video or one of our demo tapes. We used to send them everywhere, but we about went somewhere overseas first with Sandman.
Willow and High Voltage, or Willow and Surge.
And they asked you to appear?
Yeah, we went up there and we did some shows that he had that they were just booking and working with, and he wanted to do a tour in the Middle East, which ended up not happening when it was all said and done. But after that thing, he said, "Well, I'm going to get you guys to ECW. I'm going to get you guys to ECW." But by that time was coming around where he was talking about getting us to ECW. We were signed by WWE.
Okay. That period, like 2000, 2001, where you guys are a part of the Attitude Era and the business is like booming hot, you're still relatively young. How do you not allow your head, or maybe you did, like to get gigantic? Like you are rock stars at this point, right? The whole business is on fire. The Rock, Stone Cold, the Monday Night Wars are coming to an end, but it's just gigantic. How are you not allowing yourself to, at that point, have a massive head? Or in retrospect, did you kind of feel yourself like you were like, on top of the world, walking on water?
I've always been like real good. Like I'm not going to change just because of success. I'm going to remain modest. I've always just been very calm and laid back when it comes to that, and hadn't let that type of thing affect me.
Wow. Do you agree with this?
I do, and I feel like.
And is he the same?
That was our dream. That was our dream. I'm probably not as much as him, but I mean, it was our dream, and I felt like we wanted to kind of keep things in check. We wanted to keep doing this. I mean, I think that's why we do it now. It's like, I don't necessarily think we have to do this now. We kind of are still passionate about it, and we want to do this as long as we can because this was our original passion and our dream, and we have made quite the mark for ourselves. 33 years in. I mean, we were on TV for 27 years, and we've teamed the majority of those times. We haven't taken a lot of time off during all those times, which is pretty impressive, I think. Mm-hmm. As far as the tag team goes, one of the only tag teams to win 4 major tag team titles over 4 different decades, which is pretty cool in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now 2020s.
Incredible. Recently I was thinking of you and your story with the R-Truth situation, very reminiscent.
Yeah.
Actually, next week is
very much so.
the 20th anniversary of you coming back, July of 2005.
Yeah.
When you were seeing this all play out, the aftermath, not him getting released, but then him coming back the way in which he did it feel somewhat reminiscent of your situation back then?
It did. It did to a degree. And it was one of those things like, obviously the repercussion, the blowback they got, because he's a beloved figure. And we'd said this too, like I figured he'd be a lifer, just being there, because he was someone too, like Vince had so much love for him. Vince absolutely loved him. He's obviously not there now, but I thought R-Truth would be around. They would figure out a way to keep him. And then like once all the blowback came out after they did release him, and people were so offended. Once again, it just shows the power of social media, and that even translated over to, in the live arenas and in the chants and whatnot. So I'm glad he got back, and I'm glad everything worked out for him.
I got to ask, it's one of my favorite moments in Raw history when you show up in July of 2005, you get on the microphone. Adam, I was just watching a clip of you on Bite This. Do you remember Bite This?
Oh, yeah.
Todd Grisham and Lita are there, and you call in, and like that's where like you really cut the promo, because you got like 20 minutes there just berating her. Can you just take us back to that period and how much of it was an actual work and how much of it was a shoot? Like you coming back obviously is a work because you've been brought back to the company, but these were all real life feelings that were playing out in front of us, right?
Yeah, to a degree, but everybody was back on the same page.
Okay. By that point,
when I was being hired back, we'd all talked and everybody was on the same page, and we're ready to do business. There was times where it's probably tough for people.
Tough for you?
Yeah, I think it was tough for everybody to a degree. That's emotionally taxing.
Yeah,
all that stuff is, but everybody was on the same page, and we were just trying to work together and get it done.
You weren't in the company at the time. Was that hard for you to watch from afar?
It was strange, and it was so real to me, and it was very, I respect the hell out of it, man. How he was able to do that, and get through it the way they did. But yeah, it wasn't really hard. I don't think I was watching much wrestling.
Okay, you were taking a break.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fair. Fans will bring it up with fondness, but for you, it's like a real life wound. So do you not like thinking or talking about that, because this was where like the lines got a bit blurred?
I don't really mind it.
Okay.
Either way, I feel like life's too short in general as it is. You have to let water on the bridge be water on the bridge, and you keep moving on. And I think if anything, you go through situations like that and you learn from them.
I mentioned this when you guys came in. You're one of the greatest tag teams of all time. There's no denying that. But unlike some of the greatest tag teams of all time, you guys have legendary singles careers as well. My guy's Bret Hart, right? And Bret had Jim, but with all due respect to Jim, he didn't have the great singles career that Bret had. You guys had equally great singles careers, in my opinion, as opposed to your tag career. Why do you think that was unique to you guys? Like the Dudleys, great. Edge and Christian, I would put in that category as well, but a lot of the guys didn't, like right now you have Jay doing his thing, Jimmy not so much. Why were you guys able to have so much success as tag guys, but also as single stars as well, when that's not usually the case for legendary tag teams?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we always kind of wanted to prove that to each other, because like on the indies, man, we were the go-to main event. I'd work 2 times every night, and as Willow against Surge, and then as Jeff Hardy, Wolverine, against whoever. So yeah, like 2 times every night. But like Willow and Surge, all that chemistry was just incredible. Anywhere we went, man, we would just tear it up all the time, man. We had such great chemistry. And so, it was just destined to kind of fall that way.
And I think, once again, we're just both so passionate. It's one of those things, if you're doing a job that is like your dream or something that's truly your passion, and you're like, well, I'm getting paid for this, but I do it for free because I love doing it. That's how wrestling is with us. And I think we were both motivated to even stand out on our own. And we knew that Vince early on tried to split us up. Like there were a few different times where
really
the Hardy, even way before it was time to, I think, because he saw potential in doing things. And, obviously Vince became a big Jeff guy. He loved Jeff. Jeff always been more historically popular than I am, but still, I think people forget how popular I am on my own too, even doing that, which is pretty cool.
When he would suggest this, would you push back early on to break you guys up? Did you have that kind of
we
say in things?
No, not really. I don't. I don't think we kind of had that.
If they said you're breaking up, you're breaking up.
Right.
Okay.
But I mean, there was some times, where there was a scenario where they were trying to do something and Jeff didn't feel comfortable about it, and none of us really did, and then we just got taken off TV for a few weeks.
Really?
But still did house shows.
Okay.
Because they were trying to push us into a split.
Okay, like sort of as a punishment.
I think so.
Okay, and
That old school type of punishment.
yes. That doesn't really exist anymore, or does it?
Not. I don't know. Not as much. It's not as blatant.
Sure. So now, like, as you guys are in this mode as tag team once again, can you definitively say you preferred being tag team as opposed to single, or is it an impossible comparison to make? Like, ultimately, if it was up to you for the rest of your days, tag team or singles, what do you ultimately prefer more?
I would probably have to say tag. I don't know. It's strange, but tag team probably.
Why are you laughing?
Probably.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would. Yeah,
Is it just a hard?
No, I mean, it is. I mean, I think we both like doing our own thing, but just like being in a tag team is just so, it's like you don't do quite as much work, especially as we're older and a little beat up. You don't have to beat your body up as much.
Got it.
And I mean, we really do have a chance to establish ourselves as, one of the greatest to ever do it. And I think we have a lot more we can add on to that, over the next couple of years.
How are your bodies now? How are you? Like I said, 50, 47, you look tremendous, but how is the body holding
I'm
up?
halfway to 100, baby.
Yeah.
That's right.
I feel okay. I mean, a lot of my hips, my lower back's real tight. A lot of that's from the leg drops and the repercussions from doing those so often. But overall, I feel pretty good. And him and I both. Jeff got me started on this, and that's cold plunges and ice baths. We do that regularly, and that's been a game changer for both of our bodies, I think.
Do you regret any of the bumps? Are there any bumps that you look back on and say, "Man, I kind of wish I didn't do that one. It wasn't worth it"?
Oh no. I don't regret any of them. No, not at all.
Wow. What about you?
There's nothing that really stands out about regretting, but this is probably what I would say. I wish I was smarter when I was younger, because there's times where when we first started on the road, we'd work 10 days on, 4 days off. We would wrestle every night. Our finish initially was the event Omega, which was Jeff was on one turnbuckle, I was on the other. He'd do a splash and I'd do a leg drop. And we would do that every night, win, lose, or draw. That was in there. We would get in and someone would make the save, and then we'd end up going home doing whatever we're going to do. But I wish I wouldn't have given everything on some of the smaller shows that weren't quite as important. I wish I'd saved more of my bigger bumps and damaging my body to TV or pay-per-view events.
About the singles careers.
Working smarter.
In 2012, the one thing I wanted to say, whenever I started painting the eyes on my eyelids, that's when I kind of, oh God, this is me. This is what I do. Stone Cold had his beers, and flip people off. This is what I do. I paint eyes on my eyelids. I'm an artist. I paint my face. And instead of having a canvas, the ring is my canvas. So 2012 was really when it kind of hit me. Oh, I really enjoy the singles stuff because I'm just me, and that's it. Charismatic enigma. And so yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick before I forgot about it.
What about working against each other? Did you like it? Sometimes it doesn't click, right? When you guys are so, like the Usos WrestleMania match, I think a lot of the fans were disappointed because it felt like it just wasn't clicking. I know you guys had your WrestleMania match, and I think you hold it in high regard, right? You like it.
We do like it. And I think as social media has grown, and I've even said this about the Usos match in the past, I think you have so many people, like, we're beloved as a tag team. It's hard. There's so many people that still say, when I hit him with the chair at Royal Rumble, and so he would lose the title to Edge, I hated you so bad in that moment. How could you do that? How could you do that? I was going, brother, it wasn't my call. You know what I mean? I'm just out there. I'm out there doing my gig. And it's tough because you go to WrestleMania and they're like, I love the Hardy Boyz together. They're my favorite tag team of all time. I don't want to see them fight each other. And I think Jimmy and Jay also get that as well. I think they're beloved as a unit. And even with their match, like, I haven't even seen their whole match, but I do know there was so much, it was so polarizing to so many people, right? But I still think that also plays a part in it, about people just don't like seeing a team that they love together fighting one another.
Yep.
I think that's hard for them to watch.
Especially brothers.
Something
a little bit different.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To a different degree. Can I ask, as far as the bumps are concerned, do you have a favorite one? One that you just think was like I have a favorite one, but I'd love to hear yours. Maybe it'll be the same as mine, just as a viewer. Do you have a favorite?
I just mentioned this earlier, but the first time I ever missed a swanton on the steel stairs against Bobby Lashley was in New York, and that's one of my favorites, man, because I did it a few times after that, but yeah, that one stands out.
Why do you like that one?
I don't know. I just never used the stairs like that. And then I ended up doing one. Oh, this might be my favorite and the most innovative, I think. It was me and James Storm in a cage match, I believe. And I was on the door of the cage, and it was open. And he hits me or something. I do a nut shot on the cage door, and then somebody that was out there with him swings the door back at him. He hits me with the cowbell or whatever, and then I take a falling backwards bump onto the stairs, onto the floor. It was just a beautiful sequence.
Golly.
Can I guess the bump?
Yeah, tell me.
TLC 2, the spear from the
Oh,
belt.
for sure.
That's the one, yeah.
That's got to be my favorite too. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and
That's gotta be, yeah.
Yo, it's just like the
It's so iconic.
golly.
I mean, it's one of the most replayed clips in all WWE history. You know, you see it over and over.
And I saw a video that you guys did for WWE where you were looking back at some of your great moments from a few months ago, and you told the story of, I think it was Bubba who, correct me if I'm wrong, Rhino suggested that Bubba moved because you were hanging on, and your feet were on the ladder,
yeah.
and so Bubba moves the ladder, so now you're
to get the momentum.
Yes, the momentum, and then Edge nails you. Golly, I could listen to that stuff all day, like just the psychology and the way you nailed it, and the way Edge nailed it as well.
Yeah,
a thing of beauty.
I just saw that clip this morning from that last Street Profits match on SmackDown, I think, but they had the table, I guess, to kind of make it a little different, like underneath. I saw that this morning.
I mean, it was perfect. Their timing was perfect. His bump was perfect. Everything about it was perfect.
As far as favorite opponents as tag teams, if you could pick one, who would it be?
I would say Edge and Christian probably get the call. I mean, we worked with those guys more than anybody else, and we had just great chemistry with those guys, and just it was a night off being in the ring with them.
Okay, so then can I ask about the AEW run? You never worked with them.
Yeah.
What the hell happened? What went wrong there?
Yeah. What do you think, Jeff?
Tell us,
honestly,
Jeff.
in my personal problems, naturally getting in trouble with the law. I think I never got a fair chance to redeem myself, coming back. That's at least that's how I felt. And I totally understood why, they didn't want to give me that chance. I was, oh God, they can't trust me. I'm just a liability. I was telling myself all these terrible things about getting what I got and getting arrested again. And it's just there's so much guilt and shame involved in that. So naturally I beat myself up about it. But I just don't think we ever had a fair chance because of that. So I blame myself all the time.
Appreciate you saying that. Do you think it's 100% his fault?
That probably factors into things. I think I know he was back, and I feel like he did pretty good to prove himself. I figured there would be a little bit of a testing period with him, and I thought he did. But then with myself and Jeff and Adam and Jay there all together, I figured they at least got to have us in the ring for something. I mean, even if we're doing something together, it'd be just a hell of a segment. It's just there's just so much value in the four of us, together because of our history. But yeah, I mean, it didn't happen, and I would imagine, I don't know, Tony Khan was a great guy, paid me very well. I like him, got along with him, but he has his style and choice of wrestling that he likes to see, and I don't know if all of us factored into that at this point in time.
Do you watch the product?
Sometimes not. I don't know a lot nowadays because I don't ever have time. When I was there, I would try and keep up with it, obviously.
What about WWE?
Some. I probably watch it a little more, especially the Netflix things. I can watch that while I'm doing on cardio, whatever else.
Okay. What about you? Do you keep up with the other promotions?
I don't. I just watch it every now and then. I'm not a steady watcher.
Is that because there's so much wrestling in your life already, and you have a family, and you like to just think about something else in your free time? You don't want it to be 24/7 wrestling.
That would be it for me.
Yeah,
I don't have enough hours in the day.
When you were younger, were you keeping up with other promotions?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I give people that advice all the time when they ask me, what do I need to do to make it? And I go, make it a lifestyle. Make sure you train in the gym every certain day, a certain way. Make sure you eat a certain way. Make sure you train in the ring. Make sure you know everybody at every promotion and who's there and what their name is, because you never know if you're going to get a shot if you're really trying to seriously pursue this. Make it a lifestyle. So yeah, I obviously did. It's just one of those things now, especially I have 4 children, which are pretty young. My oldest was 10 just yesterday. But they're 10, 8, 5, and 3. So obviously, I got my hands pretty full with that.
As far as we often hear about the locker room, I've heard you guys say the TNA locker room right now is incredible. There's a great bond. There's great camaraderie, not a lot of drama, politics, or stuff like that. When did you feel like it was the most tight-knit unit. If you can look back, what period did you feel like, oh, this is like a team? Obviously, you guys are feuding against each other on television, but backstage, there's no BS, there's no fighting, there's no drama. Do you remember one period where you're like, this is the best locker room that I've ever been a part of?
In my opinion, this one now in TNA feels like that.
Wow.
It feels really like just not a huge amount of talent, but like just people who are like growing and are working hard together to make something very special.
Wow.
There's a bunch of selfless individuals like all working for the greater good, which I dig, and it is a really great period. Morale's good, especially like how these ticket sales and houses have been up, and like all the numbers across the board on like television, the TNA Plus app, all that stuff's up, and we're continuing to move in that correct direction. I would say too, another period that was really good where I think everyone just accepted and understood the top guys were the top guys, and they were going to kind of do their thing, and they were going to do their politics, and they were going to bicker back and forth and get their stuff in. But all during the Attitude Era, I didn't have any complaints then either. I mean, it was great because we rock and rolled, and we were given the opportunity. We told Vince, because we would do ladder matches, his mask character Willow against me as Surge or Matt Hardy, and we would do those on indie shows. And we knew if we could get Edge and Christian, who we had great chemistry with, in a ladder match. So, we'd pitch doing a best of series and culminating in a ladder match, and we're able to get that happen. During that whole period, man, that was all great. There wasn't a lot of bickering or trouble, and we kind of got to do our stuff, and we were elevating ourselves. So that was a really good period, locker room wise as well.
I have never noticed, my whole entire career, I have never noticed politics in wrestling ever until like 2024. I think, oh, this must be politics.
Really?
I'm kind of experiencing politics now. For the first, I've never
What happened? By the way, this is an incredible thing that you were around for like 30 years.
Yeah, I've never.
Because we hear about it so much from afar. But
yeah, it's crazy. I don't know.
What happened that made you realize, oh, maybe I'm experiencing it for the first time?
Probably because you're getting sober again. And, oh, this must be politics. Okay. And back in 08 and 09, when I was bigger than Obama, I mean, the people just loved me so much. I didn't have to do any politic. And so,
you were at the very top, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Do you appreciate all of this more because of, I've heard you talk about like when you're in jail and you're like, what the hell has happened to me? How did I get here? This could have all been taken away, right?
Oh, yeah, everything is majestic. I mean, everything is like, even my little dappled dog was like the most majestic. Like after about a year being sober, oh my God, everything is just so vivid and bright and beautiful, and yeah, it's just everything is so like kind of surreal. Just looking at everything, and the thought of me coming close to ending it, is what scares me the most. But I'm just so grateful each and every day that I have this last chance.
How long have you been sober for now?
3 years, 2 days, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
if today's the 24th.
Today, yep.
Okay.
How long? When did you start to feel like, okay, like I'm sure early on it's very tough, right? Do you start to get into a groove where you're like, okay, I could do this?
Yeah, and I went through a lot of treatment too, like almost a year's worth of treatment. But a little after a year being sober is when I did my first ice bath, man, and that's when I kind of I went under for as long as I could and held my breath and came out from the cold water, and I was like, whoa! It was like this feeling in my head, and I was like, wow, I kind of like that. So I think I'll keep doing this, and it's been extremely beneficial for me, like crazy. And yeah, I turned Matt onto him. So so instead of numbing myself out with drugs and alcohol, I numb myself out in cold water, and I'll do that for as long as I can.
Could I ask, what do you consider rock bottom for you?
Rock bottom definitely for me would have been after the third DUI in that cell, and not being able to wake myself up from a dream, because I'd had dreams about getting a third DUI, and that was definitely rock bottom for me. I didn't know what was going to happen, man. I was so afraid that I was just not going to make it. But yeah, in that cell right after that third DUI.
Where are you during all of this? Like, this is your brother, you love him, and he's having these very public issues, right?
Yeah.
How are you handling it?
I remember I'd just flown home with my wife. I'd been in Orlando the night before. We'd done an appearance, and then I heard about it after I got home, and I just was sick to my stomach. I don't know. It was tough. You never want to see him hurt. You never want to see him in trouble. But the one thing I can say is just like his work on himself has been second to none, and just the place he's at in his life, I'm just so proud and so happy for him, because this is like the best version of Jeff Hardy personally I've ever seen.
Wow.
That exists right now.
Can I ask, other than you, who is most responsible for this? Who helped you you need something. I know you have a wife, you have 2 children, right?
Yeah, my wife and daughters. Yeah,
They're the ones.
they're the ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're my world. Yeah.
How old are your daughters?
14 and 9, man.
Wow.
Growing up so fast.
And was it maybe like you're their dad, right? Above everything else, you're not a superstar to them. You're just their dad.
Exactly. Yeah.
You didn't want to miss any of that.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And with you and you're his brother, you're standing by his side. At any point throughout all this, are you guys not in contact with each other, or are you always super close through everything?
Yeah, we were close through all that for sure.
Amazing.
And it's one of those things like I had hoped when he came back to AEW, we would have been able to kind of like resume things and have a good run, because that was kind of the initial goal there, but it didn't come to fruition.
Yeah. So it's happening in TNA, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And there's great history with both of you with that company.
Right.
Would you be okay if I've heard you talk about WWE, but it seems like you're so happy in TNA. I have to ask, would you be okay if the rest of your days are with TNA?
Maybe
Okay.
so. I think we do want to. I think we do want to do the WWE Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
I think we would like maybe one last hurrah with WWE, and that could even be possible while working with TNA too. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, it would be nice to still have the most limited schedule we could have, which would optimize the amount of time we can spend at home with our families and our kids. But yeah, I mean, everything's kind of up in the air right now, and we both feel good, and I think we're going to rock and roll as long as we feel like we can do it.
One of you has been asked to go into the WWE Hall of Fame, right? But not as a duo.
Yes, Jeff was.
Jeff.
Yeah.
And why is that? Why do you think you were asked and not Matt?
Because I worked at AEW at the time.
Okay, so but you've been gone now for over a year. Do you think it's coming?
I mean, yeah. We'll definitely do the.
It's
WWE
inevitable.
Hall of Fame one day. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you like for it to be sooner rather than later? Do you care?
I mean, I'm not in a rush.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So they
I was thinking 2030. I mean, that's
2030. That's your okay. So they came to you and said, "We want to put you in," and you said, "I'm not going in alone."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was their
It
reaction?
just felt weird. It didn't feel right at all. So no, it's not time for me to do that, and it just didn't feel right going in without Matt. But yeah, I don't know. It was just that in the moment, man. That's the way I felt.
And how did they receive that? Did they understand?
Okay. Well, good luck.
Okay.
in your future endeavors.
Right, that one again. Did you ever think you'd live in a time where Vince McMahon is alive but not working for WWE?
That is doubtful.
Yeah.
I would not have expected that.
Still seems weird, right?
It still seems weird. We actually just talked about this on the podcast. It seems like, he's up to something again. And I still think, in his heart and soul, I mean, it's just like his entire life, he's been in wrestling and a promoter. I think he still kind of yearns to do that again. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. I mean, obviously he's got obstacles in the path, that he would have to overcome. But it's wild seeing WWE out there and Vince McMahon not at the head of it.
Matt mentioned that he was a big fan of yours, especially when you had that singles run. Can I ask about just like his belief in you? What was the relationship like when you were given that opportunity to be like in many respects one of the faces of the company at that point?
Yeah, the only time we've had a real like interaction, man, was after that brother versus brother match at Mania. Like we got some time cut off that match, and there were some spots we had to cut out that I was so upset about because this was our, Bret and Owen Hart match, and we had a little like not an altercation, but backstage, and he really saw like how passionate I was about that match and that I wanted to get those spots in, but but that's it. Other than that, man, we've really had not many conversations whatsoever.
Really, at all?
Yeah, just a few interactions after matches, and nothing huge at all.
Wow, even when you were champ.
Even when I was champ, yeah.
Really?
I just showed up and
did
worked.
your thing.
Yeah. I just think, like Jeff, like there's so many people that would be looking to get ahead or be looking to angle something they wanted to do or whatever, get in better with the ball. I mean, those things don't go through his mind.
Wow.
They just don't. I mean, he is just him and he exists. Like sometimes even I just think like, oh my God, I wish I could have his brain when it comes to that, as far as trying to be like aggressive or move ahead or, jump on top of it or take advantage of an opportunity you've been given and make it into something bigger or better, whatever. He doesn't process things like that. He's just him and he exists. He's cool. He's an enigma. And, it's very genuine. I mean, people look at him and they want to be him because they see someone who is like that. Like,
Gosh.
he's the most laid back, cool guy ever. Rarely ever gets mad. Doesn't have a temper. And that time when he fired up after our WrestleMania 25 match on Vince, was like, whoa, that was kind of.
Were you back there?
I was.
Did you see? And you were surprised.
Yeah, I was. I was surprised by that. I mean, but Vince did see his passion. I think actually that probably gained you respect in Vince's eyes as well.
For sure. Yeah. And even back in 08 or 09, whenever it was, like I heard through the grapevine that I might have been selling more merchandise than Cena. So I was thriving, man. And I knew that. My connection with the people. I mean, I knew what was going on, but and I just kept being me.
I don't even, like, you talk about kind of living in your own world. There was a writer during that period named Freddie Prinze Jr. who was working for the famous actor, which was wild when you would hear, like, wait, Freddie Prinze Jr. works for WWE? Did you even know who he was? Because I know he was a big fan of yours and was pushing the idea of you being champ.
Yeah.
And he's talked about, like, having battles internally about that. Did you know that this was Freddie Prinze Jr., like, famous dude?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, you were aware.
Yeah.
Okay, because I could see a world where you're
the
like,
biggest advocate for Jeff.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
so grateful for that.
He fought and clawed and scratched for Jeff.
Did you work closely with him? Or did you just allow him to fight on you? Okay.
The main thing I remember was there was one, like right after I'd won the title.
Didn't he push the paint too, like painting your face?
Maybe so. He might have, bringing the paint back. But it was just like right after, for my celebration in Baltimore, when I won the world title for the first time, it was like me and him were talking about, it was the thing like, here we go, or something simple like that at the beginning of the show. And that was pretty much all I learned.
Wow.
Other than that, there wasn't much, man. He just, again, allowed me to be me.
I wish I could be this chill.
Yeah, he is. He's chill.
I'm blessed.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. It is. Freddie Prinze is great, man. Great dude.
Yeah, and a huge fan still of the product. But I remember just hearing, like, wait, Freddie Prinze Jr. is working for WWE as a creative team member. It's an amazing thing. I saw you mentioned Joe Hendry. Love the guy. Love him getting the opportunity in WrestleMania against Randy Orton. I saw you do a little, like, impromptu concert with him a few months back. When you came back, you got to sing your song. What is it about this guy, and do you think that he has what it takes to be one of the real players in the business now? Because it's an amazing backstory, him getting this opportunity and after all these years grinding away.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the way he uses social media, man, he's just he's destined to be amazingly, like, huge and naturally a WWE champion one day, I'm sure. But yeah, he's got that it factor.
What's amazing about this is, you guys know, like, 2000 WWE, they aren't working with TNA, right? They're not doing this sort of thing. Why does it work now? Why does it happen now? Like, there was once a time, like, we don't co-promote with other people. We're not propping up. We're not sending our talent to different promotions. What's the difference?
Ariel, why do you think it's happening now?
Well, I have an idea, but I think I'd prefer to hear your idea. No, it's the big man's not there, right? Or do you think it's a different reason?
No, I mean, I would guess too. Part of it is AEW and its existence.
Okay, so you think that's a better answer than mine, if I'm being honest. Let's prop these guys up. Let's give these guys the opportunity to block out these guys without beating around the bush.
I mean, I think that could obviously be a feasible option.
Do you think it's working?
It's helping us.
Yes,
no doubt. So, and I think it's. I mean, TNA is a company that's been around over 2 decades, 20 plus years, and I think it's an important staple of pro wrestling. And they do a style that is more similar to the WWE style, So I think it's a good call. I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Do you think there'll ever be a period where it's more WWE TNA as opposed to NXT TNA?
It could be possible, especially with some select acts, I think.
Okay.
From my understanding, kind of how things are.
Maybe like a very famous tag team.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Joe Hendry. It's just, once again, with Joe Hendry, he is a very special guy. Him manifesting things into reality is pretty impressive. And even like, some of when he had the match with Randy Orton, which I loved, and it was good for him. I can promise you. So we do meet and greets, and ours have been like legendary because we end up staying there till 1:32 in the morning. When they start at like 10 p.m. at night, we sound for 3.5, 4 hours.
Incredible.
Do it thousands of people. But Joe Hendry's, I noticed his lines grew. I mean, that match he had with Randy, there's some people that were very critical of it because it was 4 minutes or less than 4 minutes, whatever else. But I mean, this is a TNA champion showing up on WrestleMania, the biggest platform you can possibly be on, wrestling Randy Orton, who is one of the GOATs, one of the greatest of all time, which I love Randy. I think Jeff does as well. And he goes out there, he has a match with him, and Joe is still kind of in this phase of his career where he's like not this ultra serious killer character. You know, he still has a lot of fun and a lot of comedy. You know, he turns around into the thing and there's an RKO out of nowhere. I mean, it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
And it was a positive for Joe Hendry. It was a positive for TNA. And I even think it was a very exciting moment for WWE fans that got to see Joe Hendry show up. And it's like something that was unprecedented. The TNA champion just accepting an open challenge at WrestleMania. So, I mean, I think Joe Hendry does have a huge potential moving forward in the business. I just think, once again, twerking his deal, he'll probably have to become a little bit more of a serious character in whatever he's doing.
Okay.
You know, but I think it's very special what he is. You can't get away from the essence of what got him over, which is being fun and doing goofy things and his crazy songs that he sings to people and whatever that are so entertaining. He's just super entertaining, and he knows how to be viral.
I'll let you guys go in a moment, but one question that people love is the Mount Rushmore question. I'm sure you've been asked this before, maybe not. Who would be on your tag team Mount Rushmore? You can include yourselves. Who comes to mind? Four teams. What do you say?
I got to go to the Rock and Roll Express.
Okay.
Gosh, the Freebirds. I'm gonna go with the Freebirds. Jimmy Garvin, Michael Hayes. And the Road Warriors.
Okay, I like this old
LOD,
school.
Yeah, just because the face paint, you know, I
Yeah.
was always attracted to that. And gosh, the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty.
Okay.
I
You don't include yourself, by the way.
No,
You can't do that.
No.
Okay, I appreciate that. Respect.
Well,
Respect.
see, this is where we'll be done.
Okay, good. I like that. I like that.
I'm much more egotistical than you. So looking back in hindsight, I mean, the Road Warriors are a really interesting act.
Okay.
Because they legit drew money. They were like a main event star. They sold tickets. People want to see them come out and kill people. But if you had the Road Warriors, even peak prime Road Warriors in today's wrestling, it'd be interesting to see how they would fare. Just because could they go out and they have a great 10-minute match with someone, 12-minute match, whatever else. I don't know. You know, I think they had a special niche, and that'll always stand for those guys. It would be interesting to see how they would have tested throughout all of time if they'd been in different eras. But I would say the Road Warriors.
Okay. All right. I thought you were giving me a reason why they're being excluded, but they're still in.
No.
Okay.
I would say the Road Warriors because they were the first tag team that became like the most famous, most main event tag team in history. I would say the Dudleys.
Okay.
Just because they're so decorated. They have won so many titles, which we're still working on keeping up with them. I would say the Hardys. And then as a fourth tag team, the Rock and Roll Express is good, but I'm also kind of split on Arn and Tully too. I'm also a big Arn and Tully fan.
Okay. Down south, Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
Yeah. No Edge and Christian.
Well,
Tough.
They're a great tag team, but you know, in reality, they didn't team that long.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, once again, we've won 4 major world tag team titles, in 4 decades, we've won major world tag team titles. You know, and Edge and Christian, they had that run from '99 to like 2003, whatever else, and they did return at the Rumble and at AEW. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they can make their way on at the AEW, brother.
It's almost impossible. Yeah. Right.
You know,
it's an impossible question to answer. I would put the Hart Foundation. I adored the Hart Foundation.
Yep.
That heart attack, that finishing move, there was something about it that I tried to recreate myself.
I mean, there's so many great tag teams.
With the
Harlem Heat.
Great tag
gosh,
team. Yes.
I mean, there's so many, Rockers.
Usos now, New Day now.
Usos, New Day.
Why is tag team wrestling not as great now, in your opinion, as back then? There just aren't as many like natural. It's a lot of teams that are cobbled together. It doesn't feel like it gets pushed as much. This is not a new thing, but it's certainly like a decade-old thing. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. The one thing I think that was so good about us, and we were so fortunate when Vince was running the show. So Vince always, he wanted sold-out buildings. He was looking for people. Even with tag teams, he didn't really care about tag teams. He wanted to break people away from tag teams and make them singles draws so they would sell more tickets. And, I want stars where these 2 guys fight in the main event. It's going to sell out immediately. And during that period, we had Stone Cold, and there was The Rock, and they had DX going on. There was a lot of stars. So the star power was there all at the top. So I felt like he's like, okay, well, we're good with all these guys on top. Let's work on some people on the underneath card. And the tag team division got an opportunity. And we were there to get that opportunity. I feel like it was the first time they'd had that chance to shine since the days of the British Bulldogs, Hart Foundation, when Demolition, those guys, had that opportunity to shine. And we got to go out and we were given the ball, and I felt like we ran with it.
Yes, 100%. Bulldogs, another great one.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. They're right over there.
Oh,
Matilda.
they
Shout
are.
out to Matilda.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Legend.
Yeah.
Legend. As are you guys. July 20th, UBS Arena, Slammiversary. Do we have your assignment yet?
We do.
We do.
We have our assignment. We are officially getting our rematch for the TNA World Tag Team titles.
Oh, baby.
It's going to be myself and Jeff versus the champions, the Nemeths, Nick and Ryan Nemeth, versus First Class versus the Rascals in a 4-way tag team ladder match.
Okay. Shout out to Nick Nemeth. He just got mentioned by John Cena
Yeah.
on TV.
Yeah.
Not a bad promo.
Yeah, not a bad promo at all.
You liked it?
I did. The John Cena turning heel thing's been super interesting, I think. It's just, I know it's been polarizing to a lot of people, and there's been a lot of criticism of it, and some I kind of understand, but just to see John Cena go in this whole new light, I think has been very cool. It feels like he's been repackaged and kind of reborn.
Yes. That would be the perfect way to describe, I think, TNA. Repackaged, reborn.
Yeah.
It's been great to see. It's been great to see, and it's been great to have you guys in studio. Really, I really appreciate it, and I just wish you guys nothing but the best. Thank you for all the great memories, but just this longevity that you've had through all the ups and downs. To see you in this spot now, happy, healthy, thriving. I think I speak for all fans from back then. It's beautiful to see. So I wish you nothing but the best. Perhaps till what? Where are we going? Till 60? Till 70? Have we put a cap? Are we going 10 more years? 15 more years? What do we think?
I don't know. We're just gonna ride the spiral till it ends.
Okay, no cap, no cap. Just go as far as you can go.
I'm still trying to work this theory out. It's like our bodies, our containers are like old iPhones or something, and we don't qualify for the upgrade to exist and be active in the AEW simulation.
Wow,
something like that. So,
okay,
so maybe that's what
Hardy. There's a charismatic
still working on it.
reference.
That's a good one. We'll end on that. Matt, Jeff, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. And again, July 20th, UBS Arena, right here in New York, Long Island, to be exact. Slammiversary, TNA on fire these days. And these men are leading the charge. We'll take a quick break, say goodbye to them, and be back right after this.